Liechtenstein, and I've got a discussion with you, and that is elitists, specifically in the goth scene. But this will also relate to all scenes of music. You go to YouTube, you see it all the time. Oh, you're like, because I listen to this, I'm not such and such. You're an elitist. You see it on Facebook, you see it on Twitter, you see it on pretty much any social media platform that there is. And that is elitism. Does it actually hurt the music scene? For example, in the goth music scene, someone says, oh my gosh, I love Marilyn Manson. He is my favorite goth band. Or, I love Motionless in White. That is my favorite goth band. Is this goth music? First, the answer is no. But you then have people actually saying that it isn't. And then they get called out. They'll get called out. They'll be called elitist. They'll be called, I've heard someone say tyrant before, because of that. They'll say like, that isn't goth music and you're not goth music. So the question comes back to it. Is it actually good for the scene, or is it hurting it because it sometimes chases away a younger audience? And the answer that I'm going to give you guys is actually a little bit of both. So bear with me while I try to explain this. First off, you do need some people to point out what is or isn't something. You can't really necessarily make an exception for anything, because if you make an exception for one band or one person, it can become the norm. And then it changes the definition and the whole meaning altogether. For example, I worked at Hot Topic. And one of the things is that I would have younger people come up to me and say, dude, I love your style, I love this, I love your goth. And then they would say something along the lines of, do you like this band? Do you like this band? Do you like this band? Or do you like that band? And predominantly I'd be like, actually, no, I don't, because I predominantly listen to these music genres. And that would confuse some people. And at the same time, they may actually approach me and say, hey, I'm a goth too. Which, full disclosure, I don't consider myself a goth. I consider myself a horror punk with death rock tendencies. But that's neither here nor there. So anyway, they would identify with me as being goth, and at the same time I'd be like, okay, cool, so, and then I'd ask them about their music taste, and it was a lot of post-hardcore and things like that, but they like spooky images and things like that, and I was like, hey, I don't mean to be a dick, but that's not actually goth. Like, for example, Chris Motionless, that's not actually goth. And then I've had people say, oh, but he knows what goth music is, and that's neither here nor there. His music isn't. You take it, what similarities does it have to like Bauhaus, Birthday Party, Joy Division, Specimen, going on and on. There's no real similarities. I mean, there's some images, but that doesn't make it a genre. To be a metalhead, you have to predominantly listen to metal. So like goth, you would have to predominantly listen to goth. Same thing with punk. If you don't predominantly listen to punk, you're not a punk. I'm sorry. On the positive side, that's kind of what I have to say. You do need to have some type of structure in place, and for younger people or people who are just misinformed, you do have to, like I said, it does sound dickish, but correct them. Now here's the negative thing. It can chase off people depending on how you deliver it. I'm not gonna lie, bringing back Motionless in White again, the quickest way for me to cuss you out in the street is to say I look like this guy in any single way, because, oh, we have the same hairstyle. A, we don't. I have a death hawk. It is saved on both sides and I can put it up. I've never seen, I mean, maybe he has, maybe he hasn't. I've never seen him put it up. As far as I'm concerned, we don't have the same hairdo, and I personally think he's kind of taking our subculture's look and image and trying to appropriate it for his own. That's whatever. But that will piss me off. And I can admit that I get quite venomous about it.
Is he a bad person?
I've heard stories that he can be really dickish with his fans. Like,
but I mean, is he actually a bad person?
Do I know him personally? No.
Is there something to back up a reason to dislike him?
I just don't like. I don't like being called. I don't like someone saying I look like someone who our music tastes and our styles are different. I hate post-hardcore in a very fiery way. Like, I think it's crap. I think there's big proof that record companies are the ones who even invented that genre. It's not organic. It's not like punk. It's not like goth. It's not like metal. It's not like pretty much any other genre of music. It was literally created by a bunch of freaking middle-aged white people who probably don't give a shit about music in general. They came together and they said, hey, the girls like to hear a soft guy singing who sounds kind of girly and is hot, and the guys like to...
You're talking about the same problem with baby metal has. I get that. But,
yeah, baby metal's not organic. Baby metal's not real.
A lot of music has been like that for decades.
And I typically don't like that type of music either.
I mean, anything out of the pop industry, obviously.
Yeah, and I predominantly don't like pop. There's some 80s pop that I do like, that I can admit to, but predominantly a lot of the 80s music I like Soft Cell. Soft Cell had to change how their music videos were done. They got kicked out of venues because he was too flamboyant and he was too graphic and sexual. So, I mean, is Tainted Love a pop song? Sure, but Soft Cell's not a pop band. There's no way in hell, because they were pushed out of so much stuff. So I love Soft Cell.
Exclusivity can lead to exclusion, and you don't necessarily...
Well, yeah, this is part of the negative part of this, though.
No, I understand.
So yeah, I just have a negative approach towards that in general. And, you know, that's actually not a good thing. I can admit that about myself. That's not a good thing, because what I should say is like, oh yeah, he's actually got a lot of similar looks, but his music is actually more considered post-hardcore. But check this out. Have you ever heard of Susie? Do you like female vocals? What about Skeletal Family? You know, and if they say no, just be like, well, actually, this is going to surprise you, but this is actually goth music, and, you know, have them listen to it. Have them come to their own conclusions, and eventually, you know, help them along the right path, as opposed to damning them for whatever path that they're currently on. That would be the thing to do. And elitism, a lot of times, leads to just straight damnation, not correction, and not really helping people. That being said, I also understand that the flip side is that when someone wants to just claim goth because for some reason it is a really trendy tag, same with punk too, and a lot of other tags and everything that help people self-identify. What happens is that when you say, well, actually, you're wrong, they'll get angry at you and they'll fire back. I understand that. There's not much to be said. I don't feel like that's a scene problem. I feel like that's an individual person problem, because they're not self-identifying with a music culture, but in a preconceived notion of what they are. You will always have that. That being said, you know, these are my thoughts on elitism, specifically in the goth scene, but like I said, this conversation can be easily had in anyone. And we can definitely continue this in the comment section below. You know, if you do want to make a response video, I do encourage you just tag the Horror Punks Unite channel, and yeah, comment down below. Let me know your thoughts, guys. As always, I'm Anathema von Sitchenstein saying, steak.
With death rock tendencies.
I do. I mean, I will have like whole weeks where I listen to like no horror punk at all. It's just that's my second favorite genre of music. So makes sense.
Look, I don't kill people. I just happen to eat them occasionally.
Well, yeah, that doesn't make you a murderer. That makes you a cannibal. So if you're, I can buy dead meat. I can buy if I can buy dead human somewhere else. That doesn't make me a murderer necessarily. It makes me a cannibal.